okay?
Well, the chairs are at the same height now, so
Yeah,
at least that's balanced.
They always say I'm small, but it's not true. Anyway, hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 52, and I'm joined today by Mr. Henry. What is that t-shirt you're wearing, Cooper?
It's a tarot card. It's a band t-shirt.
Oh, it's a band. It's a band t-shirt, Cooper.
Yeah, it's not most interesting.
Not interesting at all. Hello, our Croissant podcast chief, Pimp Dig Die. Today in the podcast, we are going to be taking a few discussion pieces. We're talking about E3 and the likelihood that that's going to be going ahead, considering stuff that's going on. And I call it stuff because I'll explain to you in just a while. Yep. But they're talking about Curse of the Dead Gods, game I've been playing this week. That was released this week, so it's a new game for a change. Woo! Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. We're going to analyse our thoughts on that one. Taking the Discord questions as usual. We're going to be taking a triggered fanboy comment of the week, one of the best segments of the podcast. We're going to go through some other YouTube comments, and then the finale will be the bad dad joke of the week. So first up, we are going to debate why the E3 may not be happening because of something that's happening in the news that we can't actually say what it is because we get demonetized. Now, this is all around some disease that's happening. You might have heard of it. I'm going to call it the C disease, right?
What's a beer that is a lot like the beer that is in this name? Desperados is sort of similar because you have a lime with it.
Yeah.
Desperados.
San Miguel virus.
Yeah, but San Miguel.
Let's call it a San Miguel virus. Yeah. Let's call it the San Miguel virus. That's as good as any, right? And we'll call it that because on our Wednesday video, we got demonetized because that word was in the title and in the thumbnail. And if there was any better reason for you to want to head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming and help us out with it's a demon in that drink. Help us out with the production of this channel. Is the fact that YouTube they let us down so often. It's so disheartening that we pour our time and effort into this content, and they decide on a whim that one single word, because we use one single word in the title and the thumb and the tags.
It's just information.
Demonetized.
It's not like it was propaganda. It's just information about what do we call it? The Budweiser virus.
the Bud virus. Yeah. It's so weird because many other YouTubers have said the same thing. They've just mentioned that and it's demonetized. Why would that be limited or no ads on that video? Because why is that like not suitable for most advertisers? I don't understand it, and it's punishing.
If that advertiser was the particular beer brand which his name is associated with it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so E3 might not be happening because of it too. I mean, YouTube's trying to shut us down, and because of this, the Bud virus, and now it's trying to shut E3. The Bud virus is trying to shut E3 down. Talk to us about it, Henry.
Well, so I've got a couple quotes here, so I'm going to have to make a conscious effort to not slip up when I read the mystery
Bud virus.
So on the 2nd of March, the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, not the European Space Association or whatever the other ones that was an agency, not any of those ones. Entertainment Software Association, they run E3. They told Vice earlier in the week on the 2nd of March, everyone is watching the situation very closely in regards to the Beck's virus or whatever it is. I'm going to try and think of a different beer every time.
Carlsberg virus.
We will continue to be vigilant as our first priority is the health, wellness and safety of all our exhibitors and attendees. Given what we know at this time, we are moving ahead full speed with E3 2020 planning. Exhibit and registration sales are on track for an exciting show in June. And then, that's the end of the quote there, then Los Angeles governor declared a state of emergency as a result of the Carling virus in California, well, in Los Angeles, because of deaths in California and Washington. Now, the ESA has subsequently come out and said another thing, because the E3 is held in Los Angeles, so if there's a state of emergency, it may not be the best idea to put a big public heavy event where there's going to be a lot of people coming in because it'd just be a nightmare. So the next thing they said, which they said I think today, which is the 5th of March, the health and safety of our attendees, exhibitors, partners and staff is our top priority. While the ESA continues to plan for a safe and successful E3 show June 9 to 11, 2020, we are monitoring and evaluating the situation daily. Our E3 team and partners continue to monitor monitor the
Heineken virus.
Heineken virus. You've got a list up, haven't you?
Yeah,
excellent. The Heineken virus. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the World Health Organization, who we are actively assessing the latest information and will continue to develop measures to further reduce the health risks at the show. The City of Los Angeles, which has declared a state of emergency, offered the following guidance. There we go. The state of emergency allows the city to continue to qualify for additional funding needed to prepare for the
Amstel virus.
The Amstel virus, thank you very much. If such funds are needed at all, city officials will continue to prioritize measures and guidelines that are focused on cleanliness and safety. This is blah, blah, blah. There's a bit more, but I can't be bothered to read it because my tongue's about to fall out on my face. So, there's the possibility that E3 may or may not be going ahead because the ESA are trying to say, no, we're doing everything we can, it's all going to be fine, it's all going to be fine. But there's a bigger conversation, and it's all, conjecture and kind of bollocks. But what happens if E3 is cancelled? Because it's the landmark event of the gaming calendar, despite a lot of people not really liking it, and a lot of controversies having gone around it recently. Like last year, there was the huge doxing thing, loads of criticism for not showing enough gameplay, just a bunch of problems and stuff going on with it.
It's definitely diminishing in a lot of people's esteem over the years. So obviously there's going to be people in the gaming community saying, well, it's shit anyway, let's not even bother. But it's going to be a miss for the industry because Microsoft are always big there. They're always developers, smaller developers who plan to go and show there. And it's like a trade show more than anything. So there's people on the show floor showing off their games and that. It's going to be another big miss, I think, for industry people more than anything. So for the industry as a whole,
that's what E3 really started as. It wasn't a public-facing thing for consumers to go along and try stuff. It was a trade show, as you say. It's companies showing other companies their stuff as a marketing event, but not a like something for people to go along and get merch and
festival
and get pictures and stuff like that. So what happens if the show is cancelled is kind of my first question. So what happens to all the announcements, trailers and demos and stuff that people show there, the developers show there? There's a question of whether or not all that stuff will just be shown off online through Nintendo Directs / what do they call them? Sony State of Plays, that type thing, or just like streams on Twitch and YouTube and that. Yeah,
it makes most sense that way, right?
It's much more cost effective and time saving because these demos, and even if it's just a cinematic trailer, developers always say those things take a lot of time, and that's time taken away from normal development, the normal development period, and that takes months.
Yeah, a lot of promotion, a lot of time goes into promotion. Yeah, like you said, it take away from development of the game, and a lot of projects hinge on how well they do at E3. I mean, there's so many games that were catapulted into people's expectation, highly into people's expectation, because of how well they're shown at E3, and God of War being one among them, the recent one. God knows how well that had done had it not had that opportunity. But I mean, it's gonna have an impact, most of which we will never know.
Yeah, we won't because we're just on the other side of it. So it's cheaper and easier to just do it all online. But then if that happens, and assuming E3 is cancelled or even postponed or whatever, if the show doesn't happen as planned, some developers might just never come back because they'll realise that it is cheaper to do it this way because you don't have to fly people out, you don't have to set up a stage presence. You can just do it all in your office and do it on your terms. So I don't imagine many of these developers will realize that they need E3 in the modern age with things like YouTube, where they can just post trailers online and get all the same publicity for a fraction of the cost.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's whether it's all the same publicity is the underlying question, isn't it? It's the cost benefit analysis that all these companies have to make, is how much reward do they get for the money that they spend in attending these events? What is the impact of that on the how well their game does, essentially. And these big publishers won't. They've got budgets for this type of thing, so they'll keep coming back every year. So it's I don't know how many indies tend to go to E3, like independently funded projects that go there to try and show off, to try and get. They're the ones that will, think again about going there. But then again, E3 is a milestone for any up and coming game developer. You want to go there. Well, but then saying that, if it is diminishing every year and less people are going, Sony's not going. Jeff Keighley isn't going.
No, he's not going.
I mean, so how much weight does it have these days over anything else? Any other? Because you've got Gamescom now.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other alternatives they could go to, and that's another question. So, if they don't go to E3, they could just do it on their own with directs and streams and stuff, or they could go to one of these other ones, which could then potentially become the next, marquee gaming event in the calendar, as E3 once was. Because you could have Gamescom in Germany, which is actually bigger. It's much bigger than E3.
In size of footfall. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of attendance, not necessarily in public kind of awareness and consciousness and stuff, because E3 is the one you think of, but statistically, based on certain statistics, Gamescom is much bigger. That's this year in August, and it'll be in Germany, so it's certainly much easier for all of the European-based game developers and journalists and whatnot, so you don't have to travel all the way to Los Angeles in America. And then there's the Game Awards, which I'm sure Jeff Keighley's really keen to make the next big landmark event, which happens in December, but that does also happen in LA. So if I need another beer. If the coronavirus isn't stopped in time, that area might still be under lock and key or whatever it is right now.
Well, they're talking about doing the Premier League games behind closed doors, without any crowd at all, and that would probably
televise them still. But
it might be a good thing if some of these fake cheerleaders, the crowd sometimes they're so planted, and you can see half of them are the developers, and they're cheering after every word, and they're so annoying sometimes that I think that if a benefit comes from all of this. The speculation over it being cancelled or whatever, then at least the fallback is they can put on the stage shows without all that fake crowd. Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, because most of these big AAA companies now, they'll have a mocap space, like a soundstage in their studio, so they could just remodel that for a weekend or whatever, and turn that into a mini theater, and put on a little show for just themselves, and make it get Devolver Digital. Just ask them what they do every time, and just get them to do everyone's.
Make something interesting,
The other big one which you mentioned is Comic-Con, and San Diego is the big Comic-Con out of all the Comic-Cons, and they happen everywhere. And that happens in July, but even that's beginning to have its problems happening in the Comic-Con. I don't know what you call brand, I suppose, kind of brand. Because DC, as in DC Comics, the people who make Batman and Superman, it's not gaming related, but they've just cancelled all of their Comic-Con appearances for March. Yeah. So it's still another opportunity, but these things might not end up going ahead if lots and lots of people pull out again. But I think if these developers, if it does happen and it is cancelled, the developers will definitely miss it, because it's a great opportunity to be on the ground with fans and get people to play your demo and have access to it there on the spot. The trailers and stuff, that's great, but there are advantages to throwing that online. It's much cheaper. But the foot traffic and face-to-face, what do they call it? Canvassing? Is that what politicians do when they knock on doors? Yeah. Like that. That's invaluable in getting people on side and getting, people to understand what your game actually is beyond just a flashy CG trailer.
Yeah, showing the game off. I mean, many developers use that as a marketing tool. So I don't know. It's a tricky one, but there you go. Do we have anything?
Well, it's just a question of which we touched on at the beginning, with E3 going downhill in most people's estimation anyway. Is it even worth saving?
E3,
will people miss it if it goes? Because I think naturally, if it does entirely disappear, and I'm not suggesting this will even happen as a result of the Guinness virus. I'm running out of. I need to get my own file up. If it does happen, eventually, whenever it happens, something else will rise up to take its spot anyway. But I wonder if people will miss it. Will miss these big show things because you can just watch it at home. And do you really need to? Do you feel the need that you have to go to all these places and whatnot?
I mean, there might be a lot of money saved if it doesn't happen. Yeah.
I like E3 because I think it's a great...
It's good for us because we get a lot of news out of it.
That's very fucking true. It's like a week of solid just, here's this, and then another 2 weeks of being, here's what these people said in interviews where people spoke to them. But I like E3 because it's just a good time where everyone is talking about games and it's new and it's exciting and generally it's positive.
Yeah, in the general.
For a good little gaming community.
But I wouldn't be surprised big time if they just decided not to do it with the state of emergency and everything that's happening, and it only getting worse. It's every single day is like, oh no, the Grolsch virus is this, the Foster's virus is that. You just hear it all the time. So
I forget about Foster's, man.
But there you go. Let us know what you think about the
Coors Light virus.
The Coors Light virus down in the comments below. So we're going to move on now to what we've been playing this week. Now, Curse of the Dead Gods was a game that released on Tuesday or something, and I've been playing it quite a bit. And full disclosure, I got a free key for the game to be able to play it. So bear that in mind when I'm talking about it. It is by Past Tech Games. They made Masters of Anima and the Space Run series in the past. I've not really heard of them. They're pretty independent, and it's available now on Steam on a PC. That's the only platform it's available on. It's in early access and it's a £13, so it's like $15 or something like that if you're in America. So it's what is it? It's a top-down isometric action roguelite.
Good buzzwords there.
Yeah, roguelike. Is it roguelike or roguelite? We'll probably get into that.
That's the thing. Roguelite is like when it's got rogue-like features, elements, but it's not as hardcore in those things. So it's almost, I can't believe it's not roguelite.
Yeah. I get into a little bit more when talking about it, about what the generally perceived the difference is, but there's not a lot of difference really. But anyway, the setup, it's a really nice looking game. Let's start with that. The art direction is beautiful, looks nice. You're running these temples, not dungeons. You're in a temple, Aztec temple or something, and there's not much of a backstory to it. You're just a guy who wakes up, just gets trapped in these temples, and you're looking for treasure. I mean, you're a treasure hunter essentially, looking to get rich. So the game does rely heavily on the combat, and it really does a good job at the combat. It is very good. It feels very, very satisfying to play. So you start out with a simple blade on your main hand, and you've got a pistol in your offhand, but you do pick up more interesting weapons as you go along. Let's say every single run you start off with those two. So you can get a shield, which is the most OP thing in it, because the shield, right, it staggers your opponents and it interrupts their attacks. So if they've got like you get swamped by your opponents sometimes. It's like 5 or 6 different, and you can just like ram through them, and you'll just whack them all out of the way if you do a shield attack. It's really overpowered, in my opinion. Anyway, there's a mace and there's a claw as well. They all do different type of things, but the main bulk of the combat is like the combination between the main hand and the offhand. You do get a two-handed weapon as well on top of that, so you can carry a two-handed weapon as well as the other two, but it's a combination, so you can do different combos with your main hand and then your offhand, and then it adds up, and it's really quite fluid. The gameplay is very fluid, and it's satisfying. And if it wasn't as satisfying, I don't know if this game would be as good. Definitely, that's a stupid thing to say, but it definitely wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't be probably worth playing, in my opinion. But the combat is so satisfying that it carries it. So the weapons do have modifiers as well, so you can. Health is a big thing in it. Your health goes down, it's very difficult to get back up. But you do get modifiers on your weapons that give you like an extra 1% health every time you kill an enemy, for example. Another modifier might be like burn damage or poison or something on you. So they're really cool. You pick up weapons, random drops by enemies, like the bigger enemies, boss enemies. Also, there's shrines where you can buy weapons from. You can also buy relics as well, which are like modifiers. Like they boost your stats, like more damage, more health, and more gold find. So there's 3 different stats that you can improve during a run. However, back to these shrines, right? You can pay with gold that you've collected during your run, or you can pay with blood. Now, this is an interesting mechanic, and we'll jump into it more in a minute, but basically, you sacrifice some of your blood and gain some curse, like a curse meter, you've got like a curse meter which goes up to 100, and it's an interesting mechanic because it makes you balance out, because curses are bad, obviously. So you can pay for new weapons and items or whatever by gaining curse. So you get something good, but you pay for it by eventually getting a curse, and then it's bad. We'll get to that in a bit anyway. So it's an interesting balance, a trade-off between getting good stuff and cursing yourself at the same time. So a lot of the combat, there's a dodge ability, and you've got like 5 stamina like pips underneath your character. So whenever you dodge, you use one of them up, and you can use them up really quickly. And you use the stamina when you're attacking with a two-handed weapon or the off-handed weapon, and you also your pistol or whatever you start with. And you can also block as well, but your timing has to be perfect. I hardly ever use block. I just pick up a shield and just interrupt them that way. So getting perfect dodges or blocks wins back 1 stamina pip or whatever, and it only takes a couple of seconds, and then they'll all recharge at once pretty much. You don't have to wait. So it's pretty fast action really, but you do have to watch your stamina, because if you're in the middle of a fight and like the bosses come in, and the moves of these bad guys are pretty well telegraphed, so you can kind of get out of the way, providing you got enough stamina to dodge, right? And if you don't manage your stamina properly, you will get caught, and you'll just get like completely bombarded. So that's it's a very skillful game. You have to be skillful because it's difficult in a way that because I'll get onto the progression now, I guess. There's not much there. So every run, the only thing you take back with you are skulls. You don't take any gold back. You don't take any character progression or anything. And all skulls do is they allow you to modify your run in one way next time. So what you do, you get 1 modifier to take with you into the next run, and it might be something like 1,000 gold to start with, or like 50% less damage when you're rolling or something. That is the only progression in it, right? There'll be a milestone when you beat a big boss, and you're able to use 2 modifiers, right, which you pay for by unlocking by using these skulls. So that is literally it. So what that means is that this game doesn't get any easier as you go, which is kind of why it's more like a roguelike.
Not a roguelite.
Rather than roguelike. Because a roguelite, the difficulty of the game gradually decreases, no matter if you're successful or not in the game. Whereas a roguelike will always pretty much be as hard as it is the whole time.
Yeah.
So with only a very minimal a difference when you go into the next run, it's very skill based, and you have to get good. You get good or you die.
Yeah,
and that's why it's so satisfying.
Yeah, because
it's a very satisfying game.
Well, once you get there, once you do eventually get good, it's all worth it. And banging head against the wall doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It is good in the way. It's not that hard because the enemies, like I said, they telegraph their moves, so you can see it coming a mile off. You don't have to like really study the animations a little, and there's a split second. The big bosses, the end of dungeon bosses, they're the worst because they telegraph it like a split second before the attack happens. So you've got to be really sharp on those. But in general, the only problem that you'll have is when you've got like a swarm of bad guys coming at you, and they're all kind of doing different attacks, because there's some melee attacks and there's some ranged attacks as well. Anyway, so there you go. It's a pretty hardcore type of game. Let's get into the curse mechanic. I told you about this, right? So you've got a curse bar. Every door you go through gives you 20 points on the curse meter, let's call it. When you get to 100, you get a curse. Now, there's like 14 different types of curses, and they might adapt your run through with something bad. Like you can't, the enemies, what would I put there? Like there is environmental traps, for example, that just automatically go off without you going near them. So that's one curse. Killing enemies will spawn like extra enemies. That's another curse. Enemies who are on fire will explode after a certain time, that type of thing. And there's like some braziers. That's the Freudian slip right there. Some braziers won't light because it's in the dark. I'll talk to you about that in a second. So some braziers aren't available because it's in the dark. So that is it. You get a curse, you get 5 curses, you get the final curse, and that's a bad time. I'll tell you, it's a bad time. Don't get the final curse. The only way to reduce your curse meter is by like sometimes you get a modifier on your weapon that every kill reduces your curse or whatever. Or you beat a boss, because there might be 3 bosses in the hardest dungeon, for example. You beat a boss, you get to remove one of your curses, one of your bad things. And let's talk about the very last thing, a mechanic that I should really talk about. You start in the dungeon with a torch and, the 2 weapons, like I said. And the light is a big thing in this game. Not as bad as Darkest Dungeon. There's no stress mechanic or anything like that. But you light these like braziers.
Braziers.
I'm called braziers.
You like braziers if you want, but
you like the braziers.
Didn't realise we were that kind of channel.
Demonetized.
Yep.
Fuck. We tried so hard. You like these braziers, and the room obviously illuminates. Otherwise, it's completely dark. And then when you switch your weapons, you have got to put a torch away. So you've got to choose between your weapons or your torch. The light goes out and you take, it's completely dark. You take 50% extra damage. It's that simple. And some rooms don't even have these braziers, so you can't even so it's just difficult like that sometimes. But you can set enemies on fire, which like the room with your weapons and that. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I've been having a pretty decent time of it. I've talked. God, it feels like I've been talking 5 minutes, but it's been over like 10 minutes already, I guess. So in summary. Performance is really good. It is an early access game, so you've got to keep that in mind. They are going to be adding new content as you go. The performance on a PC so far is there's the occasional like slowdown for whatever reason, and then it like smooths out. But it doesn't affect the gameplay. It's once every like 20 minutes or something for some reason. I don't know. It doesn't affect the gameplay that much. The combat is really fluid, smooth. It is a roguelike, so be wary of that. It's for those of you who are familiar with roguelikes and like a good action type of thing, it's definitely for you, I would say. Some of the bad points right now, the game needs more variety, especially with the rooms, different weapons, I would say. Although I did get to the second, almost towards the second boss, and I got a really decent weapon, which like a unique one. So maybe I haven't played enough to see like more of the unique weapons in the game. But I'd say it just needs more content right about now. It is early access though, and you're only paying £13, and I would definitely recommend it if you guys are interested in that. And there you go. I don't know whether it needs to be easier, because I felt really frustrated, but then I just now beat the second boss, and you heard me scream.
Oh yeah,
you heard me how pleased I was.
I had
with
headphones
myself.
on and everything.
You heard how pleased I was. Yeah, it's doable. It's doable. It's not too hard. And there's a lot of skill involved. So it's one of those games that I'm giving you my impressions of it now, but I'm itching to go back and play it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I play a game just to deliver the information, and it's like, I probably won't play it again. But now it's like, I definitely want to go back to it. I definitely want to play this again.
Well, some games that are known for being hard, the get good argument doesn't actually mean get good. It means grind until you can deal with it.
Yeah.
But if it's skill based, that actually is getting good.
Yeah. You never feel like you're hit because for something unfair, or because your character isn't stronger. Your character stays the same strength the whole way through. Your starting weapon stay the same power at the very beginning of each run. So there's nothing more than your skill. That's the only like limiting factor to you. You'll only get as far as your skill allows you. You get better, you will get further. There is a lot of RNG in there with how lucky you are with what items you get, and because without a shield I'm shit. Like, I'll be honest. Like, if I don't get a good shield that can interrupt the enemy's attacks, blocking I'm no good at. But each to their own. Like, some people say that the claws works out best for them. It's a unique one-hand weapon where you do a kind of dash forward attack, and you also attack. You turn around and attack behind as well. So it's good for groups of enemies, that one. But each to their own. Everyone will find their own favourite weapon. And I think another character might be pretty good as well. Another character with different attack
play
style or
yeah.
something. I don't know. It's definitely one to watch if you're not interested in picking up right away. It's good. I recommend it. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, while you've been playing new things, I've been playing the same thing over and over again, because I've been playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. I think I've played it about 5 or 6 times now.
Oh, did you really?
So I've been...
Well, you played it twice in the office.
Yeah, and I've played
then
it
you went
about
on and played
4
it 5
times.
Wow.
Although,
obsessed much.
As always, my first run was the cleanest. And then when we recorded it, I think Cloud was killed once, but like I didn't die overall. But then every other time someone's died. But my first time, no one was beaten. It was fine. Fucking sod's law. As soon as we turn the camera on, that
you start fucking up.
Anywho, I really like it, and I feel like I wanted an opportunity to talk about it more.
Yeah, because we did a video about it this week, and if you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. Henry was playing. We were just discussing about the demo. We didn't really have a long with hands-on with it. That was just showing people how the demo plays and what our first impressions were. But you've had you've had more time with it since then.
Yeah.
And you've got more thoughts and feelings since that video, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I've broken it up into the good and the bad. So the good is the most obvious thing that you could see is with most remakes is that it looks a whole lot better. I mean, the original game came out in '97. It was on the PS1. It looks, I'm going to say iconic because it does. It's very recognizable these days, but it's not up to modern standards. That's to say the least. Anyway, but it's a really good mix of real-time, like in-gameplay stuff, but also with some pre-rendered stuff. Because I think the opening cinematic right at the beginning, where Cloud's on the train and Aerith is there with the drain and all that shit, and then the closing cinematic, which is the reactor actually exploding. Both of those are definitely pre-rendered. And you can kind of tell that there is a difference. It's just, oh wow, things just suddenly got a lot smoother.
That's Final Fantasy though, isn't it? That's the whole thing.
Exactly. They've always had ultra fancy cutscenes
that look nothing like the actual gameplay.
That bookend the gameplay. And tell you what, actually, it's something I've sort of missed.
Yeah.
Is you play a game, you get the opening cinematic, and it's really awesome. And then you play through it, and then you're rewarded with another really cool looking cinematic at the end. But because there was such a disparity in quality between gameplay and pre-rendered, and now that gap has closed. But I like it. I like seeing the big spectacular thing.
It's a nostalgia thing for many fans, isn't it? Final Fantasy. That's what that's one of the hallmarks of a Final Fantasy game, and they've carried it through here. I mean, it would be weird if, when that point comes where the graphical fidelity of the gameplay is exactly the same as the cutscenes, that'll be a day where you'll be like, well, is this even Final Fantasy anymore? You know what I mean?
I mean, it's definitely close.
I did say Fanny Fantasy.
Fanny Fantasy. Well, back to Brazzers again,
Second time we've been demonetized.
Jesus
Shit.
Christ.
No point even asking for this video to be reviewed, is there?
And speaking of challenging combat with whatever that game is called that I've forgotten a million times, Curse of the Dead Gods. That's it. I've forgotten the name so many times. Final Fantasy VII Remake demo, that's too long of a name, has challenging combat. It's not like super hard, but it will push you to actually play it the way it wants you to.
Yeah.
And force you to not just button mash, because at first glance it does look button mashy, but because Cloud's got a massive sword and he's doing jumping acrobatic stuff, but it's all on one button, so you are literally button mashing to do that. But as soon as you start doing the abilities and stuff, which you need to do against some of the stronger enemies and the boss at the end of the demo, it feels way more like deep. It's deceptively deep.
Yeah.
Fanny
Fantasy is deceptively
deep. Your
deep.
Fanny Fantasy is deceptively deep. Catch it on Brazzers.
Filthy mind.
Jesus
sorry,
Christ.
guys. I'm sorry.
You've completely thrown me off of what I was going to say now.
It's going to be a better podcast. We'll make no money off it, but it's going to be an awesome podcast.
You guys might like it anyway. But yeah, so like you'll be fighting the big robot scorpion at the end, and you're going to be doing a little bit of damage, but then you throw in some lightning from Barrett, because he's got the lightning spell ability. It'll do loads more damage, and it just feels like there is more to it than perhaps it first seemed at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Switching characters is great as well, and I found myself using Barrett a lot more in the scorpion fight, because Cloud, all he needs to do in that sequence is just swing his sword. He doesn't have any particularly useful spells, because all he's got is fire, and that's not going to do anything. So I just be Barrett, like hide at the back and just shoot him, and then summon the thunder spell every time when I need to, and that was the best thing to do, and then switch to Cloud if I wanted him to use a particular ability.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that you have to use everything at your disposal to kill the big scorpion. Like, it's not ultra hard. Like, I haven't completely died. I've seen some people whose entire team just were wiped multiple times, and they've rinsed through all Phoenix Downs. Oh, that's the point. If you don't know, Phoenix Down is what revives you. I don't think the demo actually tells you that. So if someone dies in the demo, you might not actually know how to bring them back. But Phoenix Down will revive a party member. It forces you to use everything. And the real-time combat, I think, I didn't really consider that it was more than just you firing abilities and swinging your sword. Because there's a dodge and a block, which is something that seems kind of obvious now in any, third-person action game. But the step into real time, that's an absolute, they've really capitalized on being in real time to give you that extra bit of control over your character. Because in the original, you couldn't block at all. You didn't really have any defensive stuff apart from healing and some.
You guard the other character.
You can get an ability where someone will take the hit for someone, which is useful because you can just throw that on your tankiest guy. Mm-hmm. But the ability to block and dodge out of the way of stuff adds so many more combat options. Although I found that the dodge almost never worked against the scorpions like rocket barrage. I cannot avoid that. I just have to stand there and block it because I've got away with dodging one or two, but as soon as he's out of the animation, you can't just do it again, and I just get hit by all the others. So move on to the voice acting, which is sort of really good, sort of really not, and sort of exactly the way it should be, because it's just the right amount of cheese. Because Final Fantasy, it's very Japanese, it's very, very anime inspired. I mean, if you just look at the characters, you can tell that from their hairstyles. But it does have a serious kind of almost gritty vibe to it, but then it'll throw out something kooky like Jessie, who's one of the other minor characters. She's thirsty as fuck for Cloud. She wants him all up in that with Brazzers and the Fanny Fantasy. She's that. She's the Brazzers Fanny Fantasy right there, who is deceptively... I'm not going to finish that sentence. Jessie as well, actually, as a character, she's more of an actual three-dimensional person this time, especially because she's voice acted.
Literally, right.
Along with Biggs and Wedge. And again, it's only in the demo and I haven't played the full thing, but from accounts of people who've played more of it, that's very much the case. And I think that's one of the areas where they've really expanded, because this game is only part of it, which I feel like not enough people are aware of. The remake that comes out on April the 10th, I think, is only one part of the full game. But it's because it's been stretched out.
I'd say one part of the original game.
Yeah, one part of the original. These three characters, Biggs, Jessie, and Wedge, they're such minor characters in the original. You hang out with them for a bit and then you separate and do whatever. I'm not going to spoil anything what happens. But now they actually have a bit more going on with them. And there was bits that were always hinted at. You knew that Jessie was a bit flirty, that Biggs is the kind of sort of macho one, and that Wedge is the chubby, kind of lovable, childish one. But all of that's kind of more solidified in the voice acting and the performances, because they get everyone's essence so right. Cloud as well, he's very... You might mistake him for being wooden, but that's not the case. Some lines definitely are wooden from certain characters, but Cloud, he's really dismissive and kind of cold, and that's because his character, and he's actually really complicated, and there's a bunch of weird revelations that happen with him that's really interesting, really cool. I won't go into it here. But then there's someone who's completely different, like Barrett, who is, you made a joke about it in the thing, that he's Mr. T. He's just very stereotypical, larger than life, big black guy, basically. And they'll probably get a bit of criticism for that from some outlets for following stereotypes or some shit. But that's what Barrett was like in 97.
Yeah, it's the original.
It's just the original. Exactly. And there are some lines which I really enjoyed. There's a bit in the elevator, I put it at the beginning of the video, where Barrett's having his preaching moment where he's like, "Oh, the planet's dying. Can't you hear it crying out in pain?" And then Cloud's like, "You really hear that?" "Yeah, I hear that." And he's just like, "Yeah, get help." Just a little sarcastic, little joke. It's nice because the original Final Fantasy is actually very, well, even funny's a weird way to put it, but it's whimsical and it's silly and it's not afraid to be childish and then be like, okay, now I'm going to switch and have something really dark all about, clones and weird shit that's going on. It's not a spoiler, just wait and see. I like the mix of tones, despite this demo for the most part was very self-serious and very we've got to save the world and blow up this reactor, whatever. Although blowing up the reactor is actually will lead me on to another point right now, which I might as well jump into, is one of the changes that they've made. I can't remember if I brought this up in the actual video, because in the original you blow up the whole reactor. You do that, you put a bomb on it, the whole thing goes up, and it causes a bunch of people to die who are in there and in the blast radius and whatnot. And that's really important for Barrett and later Tifa's character arc, because they're both members of Avalanche. They did this and now feel guilty about having killed people, and then there's that kind of conflict and dilemma about, well, did we really do the right thing? Because we're trying to protect the people, but we've ended up killing some of the people. This time, you only blow up like part of the reactor, like the control unit or whatever, just to break it. And then the rest of Shinra, they blow it up themselves. They like send a bunch of drones in to just shoot the shit out of it, and then they blow it up.
Right.
Which fundamentally changes where Barrett and Tifa and the whole of Avalanche sit in that interaction. And they'll still probably tell the guilty storyline of these characters, but if they ever find out that they weren't really responsible, that completely absolves them of everything. Yeah. And it's way more cut and dry on who the heroes and villains are. And now I'm not going to have a real opinion on this because I don't know where that storyline really goes because I played the full thing, but it's certainly an interesting change, and I kind of like the more ambiguous version of the original because it's less cut and dry and it's less, these are the bad guys. Yeah. It's more grey. But again, I don't know what other changes they're going to make with that specific plot thread.
Oh, it's definitely more an adult theme where the heroes are actually doing bad as well to try and do good. Exactly. I think maybe they've absolved them of responsibility in order to make it more family friendly. I mean, we're talking about family friendly content already.
Right here,
This isn't what we are. You know that already if you've listened to at least a couple of minutes of this podcast. We're all about that non-family friendly content. So heroes killing people, we're fine with that.
Yeah, that's cool. But Shinra were always a really bad company. I mean, they are. It's you don't need to make them seem more bad. They were already really bad. Yeah. But I've seen some people talk about what they do with that storyline. That was not really the whole storyline. That plot idea further, and they use it to Shinra, who control the whole city. They control Midgar. Which, in case you didn't know, they then use Avalanche, who are as like a scapegoat, and there's like this whole fake news thing, which is a new theme, which wasn't really in the original because
very modern.
Yeah, because it's a bit more contemporary and a bit more interesting. And I really can't wait for when this game comes out for people to be like, oh, it's environmentalism. SJW was like, honey, it was there all along. It was there back in the 90s. Chill the fuck out. I'll go back to some of the stuff I did really like. And I saw some people, well, I saw Jim Sterling criticize, say some people, he's the only one I've seen criticizing it, criticizing the music. But I thought it was awesome. Yeah, like because it's just a big orchestral version of all of the original songs, and it like plays throughout. While it's not just in battle and then different out of battle, like while you fight through, it's the same thing all the way until like the next boss encounter or cutscene or whatever gets in the way. Sometimes I kind of forgot what music was playing, and then you'd hear like one specific melody, and it's like that's it. That's exactly it. It's like a fanfare in Star Wars. Everyone knows it, and you just recognize it. That said, the boss theme, which is iconic in Final Fantasy VII, is the same boss theme for pretty much all the fights, I think. There's only a couple which don't use it. That's like a kick-ass like guitar riff going. The orchestral version of that's nowhere near as good. It doesn't get me pumped up half as much because that riff is played on violins and it doesn't sound as hard.
No.
But hey, and one thing I really, really liked, which I noticed more as I'd played the demo multiple times because I'm a loser, is that there's a bit more subtlety in terms of the characters. It's not even really that subtle, but compared to the original where everything, you didn't have the ability to be subtle because it was a little character moving very jankily or a text box literally telling it to you. There wasn't as much room for subtlety. But there's a bit in an elevator just after you've blown up the reactor. Like you're running away because the whole thing's collapsing. Cloud and Barrett jump in there. Barrett's raging because he's a big angry man doing big angry man things. And Cloud's there with his arms folded, with his eyes closed, basically meditating, just like that. And Barrett like looks over his shoulder, realizes that, and then he's like looking at his hand, like because he's shaking because he's so angry, and kind of has to control himself a little bit. And I really liked that because that does inform what Barrett kind of realizes later on, because he is He's angry about everything. He hates Shinra because he's got his own backstory and motives with that. And I like seeing that it's just more mature storytelling and more cinematic storytelling that is kind of commonplace in the gaming industry now. But it just shows how much further they've gone and that they've noticed that. Yeah, because it's more than just, he's going to be the big angry guy all the way until he isn't.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Now I'm going to move on to some of the bad stuff, which is some of the voice acting and writing, which does sound sometimes wooden and the bad kind of cheesy, just like cringy. There's one bit where Barrett is criticizing Cloud for being a ex-soldier and working with Shinra, and he's calling him like a dog and he's loyal and stuff. And it's too... The point he's trying to make is fine, because it's like, I don't trust you because you were with them. How do I know you're not going to betray me? But it's too long and kind of convoluted and clunky, and the point kind of gets muddled a bit. And that's a product of writing in Japanese and then translating and all that stuff. And it's not even really the end of the world. It's not even that bad. It's just a bit like, all right, come on, you're beating a dead horse here. Let's move on. And there's the main problem I have, and this is probably the biggest problem I've had in the demo, which will probably be alleviated as time goes on and perhaps you're in more open environments, but the camera sucks. And it sucks in pretty much every third-person action game, but God, it sucks. And it gets caught on shit, especially when you're locked on. Like, there's an enemy up top, and I'm being Barrett, so I need to shoot it. So I'll switch to him, and I'll lock on. But I can't see that enemy. It's off the screen, because the camera's just not even... It's not caught on anything. It just doesn't want to look there. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to unlock to then manually pull it up. And then he won't actually be shooting it, because he's not locked on, and it's just a fucking nightmare.
Bit of a ball like.
And that's the same problem that happens in so many third-person action games, particularly when they're so chaotic, like FF7 can be. But it's a ball ache. Mm-hmm. It pisses me off. That's probably my biggest gripe. Some minor ones, really minor ones, and that's just me being nitpicky.
Yeah, that's not critical though. That can be fixed.
No, yeah, totally. Some minor ones were like when you smash a box, because you can get items like potions and that from boxes. He swings his sword once, but the whole animation is really long. Like, so he swings it and then slowly puts it back on his back and then and walks. I'm like, can you just smash it?
Get on with it.
I got shit to do, bro. Let's move. Again, it's a totally minor gripe and it's just me being petty, but it's just the way I feel. Just the way I feel.
There you go.
Some of the controls can be really finicky, not in combat or movement or anything really. It's when you saw it in our gameplay video. I tried to get on the elevator and press a button. I had to like align him perfectly to get the button prompt to come up. I'm like, just come on. Just give me a bit more precision. But again, it's a problem that a million games have. And now this next one, it's not a problem with the game as a whole, because I haven't played that. It's almost a wish was in the demo. And I wish there was more of the RPG stuff, because it's an action RPG with important decisions about which items you're going to use in terms of weapons and armor, or like which materia, which is how you give people different spells and magic, which characters you're going to give that to. And I kind of wish we got a bit of a taste of that in this demo to show us more what's going to come, because that's going to be such an important part of the game as that sort of stuff is in any RPG. I feel like it's a shame we didn't get it, but I understand that this is just the opening mission, so you may not have had that sort of stuff ready, like, because it's the first mission. They haven't given you any of that yet, because they're only easing you in. And I know some games alleviate that problem by giving you a demo mission further down the line, like maybe in the middle, where you've got more abilities and stuff. But hey ho, there's nothing to really do about it. It's just a bit of a shame. Mm-hmm. And probably my ultimate criticism, which is a problem I have with so many games these days, and it winds me up, and I've talked about it before, you can't jump. You can't jump. There's no button to jump. It upsets me. It's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
In all of the different things you can do in a video game, you kill giant monsters and robots and use magic, but I can't fucking jump.
There is a sequence in the game, if it goes by way of if it's faithful to the original, where you will jump from place to place, where you climb, doing a lot of climbing, and some jumping. So. You should assume that you can only jump when you get to that ledge and it says, right, press B to jump or whatever. Well, that'll probably be how it works, right?
He can hop over a train turnstile, or he does like a jump in a cinematic, and it's a pretty cool jump. He like parkours off a pipe and shit. But I want to press jump, man. Yeah. Like, just let me do it. And it upsets me irrationally in every game. And I've made this argument before.
Yeah.
Not only is it an important part of traversal, but both Mario and Sonic and countless other characters, that's their method of attack.
Yeah.
Mario and Sonic, you jump on things' heads and they fucking die. That's how important jumping is to me.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting that it's not a factor. Although, that said, I do think it's really cool that when you're fighting these little, I can't remember what they're called, like something drone, they fly up. If you're Cloud and you're obviously a melee person, he will like dash into the air and start slashing them, which is quite cool. But it's not a jump, it's just not acceptable. And another thing which didn't come up in the demo, but in my notes it was coherent, but it's not anymore because I've broken it up, so I'm just going to have to bring it up now. Anyway, some other stuff that's been changed is that Sephiroth has been massively moved forward. Now, Sephiroth is the big main villain in the original. You've probably seen him before. He's got a really big sword and really long hair.
Just like all the other
Just
characters.
like every other anime character. But I don't think you see him at all in the original, in any of the Midgar section. He's alluded to, you see his name, and you see a sword stabbed into someone. I won't tell you who. And that really like builds up the mystery of who he is. It's like, oh my god, who's this guy Sephiroth? We've been saying all about him. What's the dealio? But apparently they've moved pretty much all of his, not all of it, but like a lot of the story stuff with him into this first part of the remake, the first 40-hour Midgar section. They've put a bunch of it in there. Like, you don't find out who he is or even see him until you visit this specific town in the open world map. And that's obviously not in this game because it doesn't happen for hours after you leave Midgar. Yeah. But now they've put that in here, and a bunch of flashbacks you have, because that's a constant thing that happens quite a lot in the original. You have a bunch of flashbacks telling Cloud about stuff. So yeah, I think that's a interesting change. And
I mean, introducing the main villain in the game, because I mean, this is a portion of the original game, right? And they knew that all along, but they have had to make changes in order so that this, which is going to be a full-priced game, it's going to be a full-size experience on its own. It makes sense, right? So not having a villain for the majority of the game, or main villain for the majority of the game, doesn't quite make sense with a chapter of the main story. So I guess that's just a creative decision, a creative, liberal bit.
That's what I mean. It's tough to have an opinion on it because we don't know the full story of it. And like, because they're wanting this game to be a fully standalone experience. Like, you could finish the first part of the remake and just be like, okay, cool, that was a fun little adventure. We fought the bad guys, we blew up a reactor, we saved the world, we'll live to fight another day. But without a tangible villain, it can be hard to like motivate to be like a driving force of a story, if that makes sense. Because Shinra as a company, they're kind of, there's members of it who you meet and you're like, oh, they're pricks. But Sephiroth has always been the main guy, and he's people are drawn to him because he's so interesting and enigmatic and mysterious. So bringing him forward does make sense for like a narrative reason in that specific game. But I just want to see what they do altogether, because what happens in the future parts of the remake, when we do get to those sections when we were originally supposed to meet him, because there's a bunch of really important flashback stuff, which takes like a long time to get through. Like, it's quite lengthy. So I wonder what happens when we do get to those places and we don't have these flashbacks because we've already seen them.
There you go.
But that's kind of the end of my thoughts on the remake demo so far. I'm probably going to play it again tonight, to be honest.
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, you've played it 5 times already. Why not make it 6?
I mean,
why not?
I need to get it to 7 times, then I will stop.
Final Fantasy 7.
Exactly.
Boom.
Fanny Fantasy 7. Catch it tonight on browsers.
Streaming with no monetization. There you go. So that is the lot of our kind of prepared segments this week. Now we're going to jump into the Discord questions now, questions and comments from the Discord. Now these questions are put to us by our ever-loving, supporting Patreon community who pony up every single month to keep this channel running. And without those die-hard fans, those true believers in our content, we literally wouldn't be here, because YouTube want to kill us, apparently. YouTube, they've marked us with the Black Plague. They've given us the kiss of death, and they're gradually and constantly just trying to purge us off their platform. But we're not gonna do it. We're gonna be here till the bitter end, and that's all thanks to the patrons. Patreon.com/Pretty Good Gaming. If you do want to support the channel, we really need your help. If you're watching this part of the podcast, you've listened to us drivel on about the games that we've played and about what we think about Heineken virus or whatever. You've invested in us this much, then please seriously consider heading over to Patreon to support us, bring you this drivel in future. And for those people who have decided to support us, bring you this drivel in up till now, they're the ones asking the questions this week. So Earthworm Ben has the first question, and would you like to do the honors?
I can do it. So from Earthworm Ben, it says, so what do you think of the way developers are treating GeForce Now? Do you think that devs should have a say in a virtual PC that is essentially just running a modified SteamOS? Modified SteamOS gets to have a say in if their game is on the service.
Now, we've brought this question forward because we thought it was a bit of a discussion topic, and we'll go into it a little bit more than the rest of it. But for those of you who don't know, GeForce Now is a streaming service that allows you to play your Steam games that you've already purchased on your own Steam account through a remote computer, essentially. So in that way, it's got a really big head start over a service like Stadia, because Stadia is a separate platform that you have to buy games for. Developers have to make the games specifically for Google Stadia, and then you buy access to Google Stadia, and then you buy the games on Google Stadia, no matter if you've already owned it. GeForce Now is different. All it does, installs Steam on a remote computer and allows you to play from your Steam account on that computer. Now, some developers have got a problem with this, right? Some developers, like Hinterland, or the Long Dark developer called Hinterland, Raphael van Lierop, he tweeted the other day, "Sorry to those who were disappointed you can no longer play The Long Dark on GeForce Now. Nvidia didn't ask for our permission to put the game on the platform, so we asked them to remove it. Please take your complaints to them, not us. Devs should control where their games exist." And then he continued in a later tweet, "There's really nothing newsworthy or shocking about our decision here. The shocking part is people's reactions to it." Because they did get a lot of backlash. Nvidia admitted they made a mistake releasing without our permission, apologized, asked us if we'd like to stay on the platform, and we'd said not at the moment. And this is on the back of other developers pulling their games off GeForce Now. Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, Capcom, Square Enix all removed games from the service. But the question remains, why are they not allowed to just offer access to a remote computer via a streaming hardware or streaming technology? What? It's your Steam games. It's your own Steam games that you own that you can't access from a rental service, essentially, from a computer rental service that provides streaming as well. I think this whole thing is so ridiculous, and there's been backlash towards this guy from Hinterland, and I like his game. I like The Long Dark. I've been a fan of it in the past. I've reviewed it and spoken about it, and I do like the game. But however, I don't agree with his decision here. I think this is ridiculous. I think he's trying to squeeze GeForce or Nvidia for as much money as they can get, and they should choose where their control of the games exist. We already paid for your game. Just let us play it on this other service that they're allowing us to play. It doesn't seem like a lot of sense to me.
I think I can see his perspective in that he wants to have control over where his game is played. I get that, and as a creator, you should be able to you should have some say in what platforms your product appears on, especially if people are paying money to that platform, like a Stadia thing. If this game was on Stadia and you're paying for it on Stadia and you don't want it to be there and they've taken it without your permission, totally get that. But the thing with GeForce Now, which makes this more complicated, is that it's not a platform semantically. That's where you want to have the distinction. It's not a platform. You don't pay for the games on GeForce. GeForce is just the means to access it. So the way I do disagree with him. I do disagree with him. I sympathize with him not having control of where his thing is, but I think he misunderstands.
Doesn't get what GeForce Now is, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. You can
miscategorize the service.
Yeah, and you could argue that he's willfully doing that, or that he just doesn't know, whatever. But the thing about GeForce is that, it's a service. So you need to think of it like
an internet connection.
Yeah, you're renting it. So
it's just like an internet service.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And even if you take the internet out of the equation, it's the same as accessing your Steam account and Steam library on a different PC. It's the same thing, just the PC doesn't technically exist. It does somewhere, but you're accessing that PC through the internet. The internet's kind of just the middleman.
Yeah.
You are effectively just playing your Steam account, which you have on your home computer, on a different computer at your mate's house because you wanted to install it there. That's fundamentally, in my mind, what it is.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with that because you have already paid for it. Sympathise with Leerop, Raphael van Leerop, that's his name. Sympathise with him wanting more control over where his game exists on and on what platforms, but it's not a platform.
Yeah, I get where he's coming from, and I get why he wants to do it, because the more control he has, the more money he can make, essentially. The only reason why he wouldn't want it on there is because he'd want some sort of agreement or some sort of kickback off GeForce now. Like, if you're putting our games on you're allowing people to play our game through your service, then we want a cut of that. That's the only reason why I would feel that. Because otherwise, you think about the people who don't buy a gaming PC and just subscribe to GeForce Now instead, right? What he's doing is he's restricting those people from being able to buy and play his game through GeForce Now on their own Steam account. So he's kind of cutting his nose off to spite his face in that respect, because there might be a certain amount of sales that he would get that way. However, he wants to retain the rights on this GeForce Now just so that he can come up with some sort of deal like Stadia might do, or like iCloud, Microsoft might do, or whatever streaming service. I just don't get the mentality. I think that the more people play your game, the better. It's been proven time and time again. Even to the point where people are saying that piracy is actually good for a lot of games, because it gets your game out there and played, and then people will pay it back. This is the type of thing that will get the gaming community against you. It's this type of
that's the biggest mistake.
Anti-consumer sentiment that riles people up. It's because I don't know. It's just, I always question people's motivations. I'm very cynical, and it can't be about anything apart from money.
I'm not going to say people have been saying this, but I would imagine the argument has been made. But again, I don't know if people actually have. But because it's streaming, people often compare it to things like Netflix. And again, I don't know if people have had this argument, but that isn't the same. This isn't the same as Netflix, because you don't own anything on Netflix. No. It would be this. So I'm trying to equate it from a gaming thing to like a film thing or something like that. Another consumable product which you could consume digitally. Say you buy a collection of films through a service like Netflix. Well, Netflix was never that anyway, but like an online digital retailer where you pay and you download them, like Amazon. Amazon did that before they did Prime. And then there's another service which allows you to access those same films that you have paid for, but you don't download them onto your phone. You just stream it from, the internet and whatever. That would be the same, because you have paid for it and you do own it. And that's the thing here. You do own these Steam games. You have paid for them. You're not paying for access to a library of games on GeForce. You're paying to access the games you already own. Yeah.
And that's the difference between that and Stadia, which was why there should be a legal distinction, right? And the technology is very new, and laws aren't even made for this type of thing yet. And I think that GeForce Now did apologise to him and offered him a free graphics card or whatever is another tweet they said. But I think that's just to save face in the community. What they don't want to do is piss off a bunch of devs, because these devs, like, they're all this peer group. If you piss off one of them, then you might run the risk of pissing off them all, and you don't want to do that as a company who's trying to win favor with these, essentially the people who are making games that can play through the platform. It'd be a nightmare for them. So I think PR-wise, it was a good move to apologise. However, it would be interesting to see if they did challenge it in court, and if it did go right down the line, to see who is actually in the right here. Because for my money, I think that all they're offering is access to a remote hardware through a streaming service. The games and how you use that shouldn't be a part of that. It shouldn't be up to the developers because it's not a platform.
Access a consumable product after you've paid for it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm pretty sure that is one of the legal stipulations, which was in a case a little while ago. I can't remember what it was. was about game reselling. I think it might have been G2A actually. I can't fucking remember, but it's something like you can, once you buy a product, the creator of that product has absolutely no control of what you do with it.
Yeah.
If you buy, a £1 million chandelier and you smash it, doesn't matter what the creator wanted for it. You've smashed it. It's your product. You can do what the fuck you like.
There's another service called Shadow.
Yeah.
Shadow Play, right? Where it's essentially the same thing as GeForce Now. You pay for a remote server somewhere or space, and all you do is access that computer. You can do what the hell you like with that computer once you've. But the point is that you log into Steam on that computer and you play your games. Now, that's if you set up a different company, if they weren't so high profile as Nvidia, they wouldn't be kicking off. It really, if I set up a company where I allowed people to pay subscription to allow whoever at home to stream my desktop onto their computer, it wouldn't be illegal for them to log into Steam on my computer. The whole thing sounds baffling to me. I don't see how. It's one of those things that really get me, because I feel like I know what's right and what's wrong, and I feel like I'm one of them people who's pretty self-righteous, and when I see something that I don't think is right, when I think it's not right, it really gets me. Yeah. It really fucking gets me.
I think
I think this is wrong. I think it's absolutely wrong, and it's got me.
Yeah, I'm definitely against this guy right now. But I think one argument that should be had is whether or not Nvidia is like, I don't know how to put this, but making money from the name, saying we've got the Long Dark on our service, you can access the Long Dark through our thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe they do, because it's a very popular but still an indie game.
True.
It's not like saying with our brand new service you can access a Call of Duty, a GTA, and a Fortnite, and even then it's still not really the end of the world. But I feel their branding isn't that. It's that you can play your games wherever. It doesn't say you can play this, this, and this. Look at what we're offering, because that's not what they're offering. If you know what I mean?
No, exactly. We could go on about this forever, but I think that's how we feel, and that's a great question. That because it's something we didn't cover this week. But Nathan Ben, thanks for that question, dude. And obviously we ranted for 8 minutes now, so it obviously meant something. So next we're gonna move on. Try and calm down a little bit. And Angry Hobbit asks his next question. How do you guys feel about celebrity cameos in games? Normal Reedus in Death Stranding, Terry Crews in Crackdown, the Marine from Transformers in COD, etc.
Such a celebrity. No one knows what that guy is called. I know exactly who you mean, but you don't know who he is.
Do you like... Well, is there Jon Snow's in Call of Duty, right? And Conor McGregor was in Call of Duty.
Kevin Spacey was in Call of Duty.
Do you like it in your games personally, or could you do without it? Do you think it helps sales of said game? Would you prefer a famous voice on a random character model, or as a digitalized version of themselves dropped into the game's world? Now, I don't mind it so much. And you think of games like Star Citizen, who literally have a bunch of stars in their game, right?
They got Mark Hamill, Gary Oldman, Mark Strong,
Gillian Anderson.
There's loads of people in it. That's why Henry Cavill's in it. That's why the game's not getting made, because they're paying all of these high-profile Hollywood actors.
I think it's great. I think it's valid. What it does is it validates the games as a medium for these actors. For the best performances, you got to get the best actors, right? And they're the best actors for a reason, because they're doing it in Hollywood. They're getting paid big money to do it. So why not get them in the games if you've got the budget like Star Citizen are able to do it? I don't mind it at all. It doesn't take me out of it as much. It doesn't as like seeing what's his name in Game of Thrones?
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, I mean, that type of thing, where it's not an actor and he's obviously there just to get people to watch. That's a bit self-indulgent, if you ask me, and I wouldn't like that in games. Put in the non-actor just because he's got a big draw in the game. I think this is a different thing, though. I think actors, great actors for a great acting job, I don't see why they shouldn't be in them. Yeah,
this doesn't bother me at all, to be honest. I mean, you can level criticism at it, saying, especially with a game like Death Stranding, where it's got, everyone under the sun who has, spent 45 minutes in a room with Kojima is in it.
Yeah.
And he's just, he's putting all his friends in it to generate publicity, whatever. But when it comes to, like, main characters, like, in that, there's Sam is Norman Reedus, Higgs is Troy Baker with Troy Baker's face as well. And Mads Mikkelsen is what's his face, Cliff. Lea Seydoux is Fragile. Fucking hell, I'm struggling to remember everyone's bloody names. Anyway, they're great actors, and putting their face on the character means that you can translate everything they do on the mocap stage and the voice acting and all that directly onto it. So there is no loss of nuance or anything in the process of translating the acting into a character. If you put the character's performance onto a different face, some things won't quite line up because it's like putting a square peg in a circle hole. It doesn't quite fit. So if you picked an actor because they can perform really, really well, and you have the technology to make a photoreal avatar of them, absolutely do it, because you're going to capture exactly what they're trying to convey much more easily than having to paint that onto a different face. That was quite a good answer, I think. It sounded quite insightful.
It did. It sounded too intelligent for me. Do you think it helps games sales of said games? Yeah, absolutely. I do think it. Yeah. Oh yeah. But Star Citizen will get people pick it up. I suppose.
I think it. Yeah, okay. I think it will help sales, but I wouldn't buy a game if I saw that a cool actor was in it. Like, not in the same way I'd watch a film. Like watching like Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. You're like, oh, it's Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker. He's a really good actor. That could be really interesting.
Yeah.
If I saw Joaquin Phoenix was in a video game, I'd be like, okay, cool, whatever. I don't care. Is it a good game?
Yeah. No, I get that, because a game is more about the enjoyment you have playing it rather than the enjoyment you have watching people's performances, like an actor in a movie or something would do. Anyway, second part of the question, back to my statue knowledge. You're on about these statues again, man. Bloody hell. I know Henry is self-confessed as being tighter than a duck's arse. Surely I could sway you guys with this Baby Yoda 1-to-1 life-size replica for a mere $300, 230 quid. Now, it just so happens I'm wearing my Baby Yoda t-shirt today. Most statue companies, regardless of region, use dollars. Worth mentioning that these pieces go up in value over time and become a bit of investment to some people. What say you guys? He's trying to rouse me. Even enough to even tip your interest for a low price in this hobby. At £230. I mean, I don't care how much money I've got. £230 for a statue that's going to sit on my shelf gathering dust. It's got to be a really decent statue. Now, I would never order something like this online. It'd have to be able to see it. Yeah. I wouldn't spend that much money sight unseen. No way.
I wouldn't buy anything for.
It's got to really impress me. It's got to be really cute. You know what I mean? It looks cute.
It's got to be like the real fucking puppet they used in the show, man. We'll get that for 300 quid.
I get the attraction, and I'm not saying I wouldn't be interested, but what I'm saying is £230 fucking pounds, man. That is a lot.
If I want a Baby Yoda thing, I can get something that will give me the same joy as that $300 statue for a fraction of the price. That t-shirt's from Primark. I know, I've seen it.
It's like £9.
Exactly.
£9 I paid for this t-shirt.
And you can look down, oh, it's Baby Yoda. And then if you look at your 300 quid statue, oh, it's Baby Yoda. Same thing.
Oh, it's Baby Yoda.
It's Baby Yoda. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, is it my answer?
He'd have to be able to do backflips and use the force on you when you collapse or something for 230 quid. Fucking hell.
All right, let's move on. I think it's another question from Angry Hobbit, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, hope you don't mind. I'm going for my own Shag, Marry, Kill Metal Gear edition. So we've got a girl from each of the best games. Meryl, MGS, the hot-headed ginger with a cracking arse, nice pun. Fortune, MGS2, the trigger-happy bulletproof psychic, or the boss, MGS3, the highly trained hard-ass with a love for weirdos and breaking shit. Now, he supplied some pictures, but I've then supplemented a couple of them to add what they look like in their own games to balance them out. Because originally it was the concept art for Meryl and Fortune, and then a picture of the in-game version of the boss. And I'm like, this doesn't balance out, so I've added some extra pictures. Do you know anything about any of these characters in terms of what they do?
I played the original Metal Gear Solid. Was it 2? The one where you start in the water and you can...
Yeah, there's Metal Gear Solid. Well, you start on Metal Gear Solid 2, you're on the ship. You do a backflip off a bridge.
No, it's the original then I played. So that's as familiar as I am with any of these characters. As usual, I don't know any of the... every single week I don't know any of the characters. So can't we start with you?
Yep. That's fair. So this is a tough one. The boss is kind of old. She's really old.
Yeah.
But she's really cool. So I think she's marriage material.
Is that a scar across her?
It's in the shape of a snake.
A snake scar on her chest. Of course it is.
It goes all the way down to her belly button. I think it's meant to be a C-section scar, but then why does it come up?
They have navels.
The same fucking thing. Still gets filled with fluff.
That's true.
So I kind of want to marry her because she's great and she's like willing to become the scapegoat of the entire country, but she was really right. She's the real hero. So that's great. But she's a bit old, so I don't know. I definitely can't just I want to be committed.
More experienced.
Yeah, I want to be committed to
knows
it.
what she's doing. Marriage material. Right?
Yeah, so I think that's I'm not necessarily the most attracted to her physically, but emotionally, she's gonna support.
Well, that's what essence of a good marriage is, right? Throughout the ages, when you get old,
eventually I'll be old.
When you get old, you're not going to retain your looks anyway.
Yeah,
you've got to have that deep connection with someone.
And she still looks pretty good for being old, and she's very athletic and everything. But
looks after herself. Another bone. I mean, this girl is marriage material. If you ask
me. Marry the boss. I'm definitely going to shag Meryl because you've knocked the nail on the head right there. Hot-headed ginger with a cracking ass. That's all you need to say.
That's it.
And Fortune. Yeah, sorry, love. You're going the way of the dodo. You're taking the bullet this time despite being bulletproof. I never really liked Fortune. She's got an electromagnetic field around her or something, which means that when people shoot her, the bullets curve around her so she can't die. But no, I don't like her. So she's getting in the bin. Any thoughts?
No, I'm in agreement. I'm just reading Metal Shark's question further down. No, absolutely in agreement. I think, judging by your impressions of what you're saying about these women here, yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
So let's move on to Josuervo's question. Quick question about the advertisement system on. Oh, there we go. Time to get deep. How about the advertising system on YouTube? Do you, as a channel admin, have control over which ads are associated with your videos, or is that randomly determined? Also, do you control if they're skippable, or is that out of your control? This is such an apt question today, since we are feeling the brunt of being demonetized since yesterday. Do you have control over which ads are associated with videos? No, it's not randomly determined. It's done by Google and YouTube essentially. Obviously the bulk of our content is gaming content, if not all of it, and therefore you're more likely to see games being advertised, new releases and stuff, which is why talking about a game that's just been released is particularly lucrative for YouTubers, which is why you might see 5 videos on the same game just launched on a specific YouTube channel. Now, you might have seen these channels that do this. That's why you get 5 videos in a row, because there are big marketing budgets for these companies that are paying to get people to see their adverts. Therefore, it works in the creators' favor if they give space for YouTube to put these adverts, which is essentially what the videos are. They're advertising space to YouTube, so that YouTube can just throw the adverts on, bump it in the algorithm, because they know they've got this big budget that they need to serve all these adverts, and otherwise they'll lose out on the revenue. So that's why they boost all these videos of the same topic over a short course of time, because they've got a huge marketing budget. Now, that said, it doesn't. Another factor in that is your personal browsing history and what Google wants to tailor your ads based on, the person that you are, the things that you've been searching for and stuff like that. That's why you won't always get gaming related adverts on our videos, because you might have been searching for specific beer, or I don't know,
Brazzers.
I don't think they do those adverts on YouTube.
Well, you never know.
But yeah, we don't have a lot of control. We either opt in, we opt out. The control we do have is if a video is over 10 minutes, we can add mid-roll adverts. So that's why on this podcast you might get one every 20 minutes, and then the 20-minute videos. Or the videos that are between 15 and 20 minutes, we tend to put 1 or 2 in the middle, because it's essentially more make more revenue off those videos. If it's under 10 minutes with no mid-roll ads, so we're shit out of luck. We can control if they're skippable or not. The skippable, do we? No, we can control whether we have a pre-roll ad in or not. but it has to be skippable. I don't think we can have a non-skippable ad, or we can't say but it's non-skippable because that's another above our heads type of thing. We don't have a lot of control, to be honest, and we're lucky if we see any sort of money at all off Google these days. That's just how it is. It's the most volatile place to work, and it's the channel's been a victim of YouTube's algorithms in the past for whatever reason, and we're just doing the best we can. Thanks to Patreon, we're still here though, and thanks to you guys. So hopefully that answers your question.
Well, the next one is a question from Metal Shark, and it's an ongoing quiz about two different things. So normally it'll be, I'll ask Gaz some questions about
things I don't know,
things he doesn't know, and it'll be, is this A or B? And those two things are normally things I know about, whereas he doesn't.
Yeah.
And this time it's the other way around.
Okay, so I guess I'm reading this one. 5 out of 10 for me last week. Time for a break for revision, because that was three goes in a row. So I had a 6 and a 6 and a 5. Back to Henry, who should now be well rested and read up. This week's quiz.
I didn't know what I needed to revise.
This week's quiz asks, is it a place in Denbighshire, which is where we are right now, a place in North Wales, a place where Henry travels to work every single day and has done for a year and a half now, or an anagram of something from the Division series of games, which is a game I've been playing recently. So I know the answers to these because I live, all the answers here, I either live close to them or it's an anagram of some non-Welsh town, something from the Division, which I've been playing. Okay.
There's definitely going to be some red herrings in here.
Okay, first one. I'm going to try and...
Yeah, you need to pronounce them, but you need to try and throw me off, because you in theory, you'll naturally pronounce the Denbighshire ones correctly, and you'll struggle with the wrong ones.
So the first one is, I'm going to do the pronunciation of them. Llanrhaeadr yng Hinmeich. Llanrhaeadr yng Hinmeich.
Can you read the next one for me, just so I can compare?
No, you've got to answer this.
I reckon that one's real. That's a Denbighshire.
It is part of Denbighshire.
Yeah.
You just call it Llanrhaeadr, essentially. It's just...
What does it mean? Does it mean anything?
Llanrhaeadr. It does mean something, but
because aren't there some Welsh towns which are just, in English, translate to just descriptions? It's like over the hill, under the bridge, around the corner, past the post office. Llanrhaeadr, I think, is a waterfall. So Llanrhaeadr is placed by the waterfall. Yng Hymenerch is... I can't even say that. Hinmeich. It'll be in Hinmeich, wherever that means. Right.
So the place... that's essentially what it
sounds like Klingon to me.
Okay. Okay, next one. Linazev Lapiane.
That's an anagram of a Division thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all know there's no Z in the Welsh alphabet, right?
Well, we do now.
We do now. That is a division place called Pennsylvania Plaza. District which contains the main base at the post office. Next up. Rhos Llanarchigog.
That's got to be a Welsh thing.
It's so easy when I'm pronouncing it right. We call it Rhos, but it's just south of Wrexham, essentially.
Okay. Well, see, the thing about Welsh, I do, because I see Welsh road signs all coming in to work all the time and stuff.
You see that one, Rob?
No, I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen Rhos.
Oh, no, but the double L being it's like a ch, isn't it? Something.
Double L.
Yeah. I've known that for years, actually, because in primary school, we went on our residential trip to a place in Wales called Maesy Lleidyr or something. It's down in South Wales, and we learned about Wales when MAIS
Mice.
Y. Space Y.
Mice.
And it definitely sounded like Laid, but I've no idea how it was spelled.
Okay.
I think it was LADEI, or I can't fucking remember. Okay. I could Google it, but I'm not going to.
Anyway, let's move on. Just another bit of Welsh trivia for you here. Yeah, you did say double L is a letter of the alphabet. There's no Z, but there is a double L. So
there's
is
L
a letter.
And double
There's
L.
L and there's double L, as well as CH, which is and that is a letter as well.
Love it.
That's why you get wet and drenched when you're talking to someone else, because you get all the spit all over you. Next one, Linkton.
It's quite short, so it's not like going to be too complicated, but I think that is a Welsh thing.
It's Clinton, a safe house in Wolves Den. Okay. Well, we're on with the camera, right? Okay. Next up, we've got Dul Oevsen. Dul Oevsen.
Denby thing.
It is a division thing. Wolves Den, literally.
Oh, well, I can see
Wolves
that.
Den, where that Clinton safe house is. Smiley, laughy, cry emoji. You got that one wrong.
So that's what? 3 right, 2 wrong.
You got 2 wrong so far, yeah. Next up, Llan Ddoget.
That's a Denby thing.
It is a Denby.
I recognise that one.
Parish in the Llanrwst district. So double L, so is a giveaway, and the double D as well. That's another letter, even though there's technically 2 letters if you're English, but it's a Welsh letter in the Welsh. It's just a single letter in the Welsh alphabet. Next, Evernechted.
Division? I've not said that for a while.
Evernechted. It is a Welsh place. Hamlet in the community in the Deep Valley. Evernechted. We've talked about the CH, right?
1, 2, 3.
You got 3 wrong.
4 right, 3 wrong, I think. Yeah.
Did you get Llan Ddoget last? Yeah,
I got that right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you got 3 wrong. Next up, Henllan.
That's a Denby thing.
Yeah, that's just around the corner. It's just up the road there.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Henllan. The name is... That's where... we're talking of the guy from Game of Thrones. Not Rob Stark, Jon Snow. He had his wedding reception in a pub, in the Henllan pub. There's one pub in Henllan, and that's where he had his wedding reception. That's weird, that, isn't it?
Why?
And he married... what's the name?
The girl who plays Ygritte. I've no
Ygritte.
idea
He
what
married
her real
Ygritte,
name
and
is.
that was where he had his...
Why? Are either of them from the area, or they just...
Or was it his reception, or was it his stag do? I think it was his stag do.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's a bit of trivia for you there. Just Google it. It's a fact. Next up, Llyn Heskitch.
A division thing.
That is a division thing. It's Hell's Kitchen, safe house in Dante's Run. And if you were familiar with the Welsh alphabet, there's no K in the Welsh alphabet.
I didn't know that. But you said kitch instead of the other thing. You said the CH is.
I
so you
fucked
dropped
up.
the ball on that one.
Kit. But there's no way of saying T and then CH.
See, I'm
right?
figuring it out.
I would have had to say Llyn Heskitch, which is almost impossible.
Yeah.
Heskitch. Anyway, I'll stop saying that now. Next up, Llanthewrf.
It's got to be a Denby thing. Right?
Llanthewrf. Looks like a Demi thing, but it's not.
Bollocks.
It's a division thing. The Firewall. That was the best.
That's the biggest red herring.
Yeah, it's the biggest red herring.
I got 4 wrong, so I got 6, which is okay.
I do believe you got 5. Did you get 4 wrong?
I got the first 3, then I got Llandogan, and maybe I did only get 5.
I think you got 5. Anyway, the viewers will be able to replay and let us know down. I'm sure Metal Shark's keeping track. There you go. Thanks for that. That was very fun, and I think I got 10 out of 10 for that one.
Screen.
Yeah, I'll wipe down the computer screen. Hopefully the lens on the camera is still dry.
All right, anyway, so we've got another question, which is an ongoing one from Metal Shark, which is, would you rather play Horizon Zero Dawn using a PC keyboard and mouse, or Overwatch on Switch? Keyboard would be a standard digital one, not a fancy analog one. Playing Overwatch on Switch, is it meant to be a particularly bad port? Like, is that the stipulation?
I think is he talking to me specifically, right? I think this is. I think this is me specifically, since I am a.
I think you'd love to play Horizon on a keyboard.
It's a no-brainer for me.
I'd pick that one as well, probably.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer because playing Horizon Zero Dawn on a PC using a keyboard and mouse is the preferable option over any sort of.
And it's going to be possible eventually, given all of the rumours.
For me, I'll take a keyboard and mouse any day of the week, even if it is a standard digital one. Overwatch on Switch, a shooter on a game controller, it's just not appealing to me at all.
Switch's Joy-Cons are too shit to play shooters.
Yeah.
I mean, I could play. I mean, it doesn't say that I have to play with the Joy-Cons, but that's how I think of the Switch.
That was a particularly easy.
Yeah, that was quite easy.
I mean, all your questions were easy for me this week.
Well, there you go.
Whereas, thanks for your questions anyway, Mr. Metal Shark. We really appreciate. Oh, actually, we've got another one. Is it my turn? Topic for discussion, save state sharing. Now, a main staple of PC gaming, 19's console life with memory cards and yet to appear on Stadia. What are your thoughts on save state sharing? What titles would you consider downloading a save file partway in or with optional grind already done that you otherwise not play? Would you consider playing a game differently as a challenge to create a golden save file to be able to share? How do you think making save file sharing more open and readily available will change player behavior and the variety of games played, especially if combined with an a la carte subscription service such as Game Pass? This is an interesting proposition, and it's something that Stadia is looking to introduce, right? It's games with like huge... It's games like Metal Gear Solid 5 that you have to sit through all the...
I don't want to play
huge
the
cutscenes at the very beginning of the
games.
game. You want to jump in somewhat with the character kind of leveled up. I think that would be good. But I do like the notion. The thoughts on save state sharing. Yeah, it's like you take up somebody else's save game. It's like when you've got a critical bug in a game and you can't progress. Ideally, you'd want someone to just share a save with you that's a little bit further in the game. That's obviously in the instance when the game is just broken and you can't progress in the game, which is never ideal. Another one would be to skip the grind, or game you've played like 3 or 4 times and you don't have a save game. You just want to skip the intro, or like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. I just started playing.
I'd well want to skip the.
I just started playing Days Gone again because I wanted to kill some hordes, and I was like, I'll do a new game plus run. I'll crank the difficulty. And playing through the opening again, I was just like, I can't be arsed. Your load screens are really still long. I really like the game, but just let me get on my bike, my good bike, which I can import from my other sort of save state sharing, but it's the new game plus version. Give me my good bike and my good guns, and let me just kill shit. I can't be arsed with, fucking about with your shit.
Let me just kill shit. Yeah, absolutely.
Save state sharing, make it a good thing. A lot of people will be like, oh, well, you've not really beaten the game because you've just stolen someone else's save file. But I'm like, it's not worth getting angry. But if people want to do that, fucking let them do it. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I think it's dumb and it is cheating, but just let them play the game how they want.
How do you think making save file sharing more open and readily available will change player behavior? I don't know if it will necessarily change player behavior. It might give you more options in order to experience things in games where you otherwise wouldn't. Say, for example, in an RPG where you make a certain decision and then a story or certain parts of the game are locked off. Or Detroit Become Human is a good one, right? There's so many options there that you make a decision in one part of the story and it totally locks off another kind of branch of the storyline. So, or rather than replay the game, and in that game anyway, you got the choice to go back and just replay one decision and open up that branch. But there are games that you would be able to just jump, use a save file in order to access content where you wouldn't be able to do short of going back and restarting the game. I think that's a good implication.
Anytime in an RPG like that, I will save it at the point of that major decision with the idea that, now I can go back and make the opposite one, but I never fucking do. I can't be asked.
Yeah. Save skimming, they call it.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, it's not even just to be like, I don't like the outcome. It's like, all right, well, once I finish this run,
happened?
then I'll go back. I can't be asked with that.
Yeah.
Especially because you go back with no good items.
Yeah. Well, the best games are the ones that force you to commit to the decision and don't allow you to reload,
make you feel shit about it,
like auto save or something, so that
live with your
you've got to live with that. Anyway, thanks for the questions, Mr. Metal Shark. Let's move on.
All right, next one is another rolling question, and he's finally back. He's back from his weeks and weeks off. Not that Rob Lowe.
We had faith in you, Rob.
Yeah, I'm not so far behind on things. No idea where we are at the moment, but just so you know, I've not forgotten about you. What's your game of the ages for this week? So this is a rolling question where we've been asked what's our favourite video game of a given year, and it started at the year of our birth, and it's gone up 1 year per week, and now we are at fucking
2017 for you.
Yeah, 2017. And I started in 1995.
Yeah.
The only rule is that you have to have played the game at some point, but not necessarily at the time of release, because who played a game when they were just a newborn?
So this is your so this is the 22nd week we've done this. So we'll be turning 22 in the year that this game was made.
Yes, that. So there's loads of good ones and loads that I didn't even play, but out of the I've got a sneeze coming, so this is really going to throw my brain off. These are the games I've played and I enjoyed. So there's The Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, Resident Evil 7, Mario Odyssey, Nier Automata, Injustice 2, Hellblade, Middle-earth Shadow of War, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and Fortnite. So there's a bunch of very different games, but also very similar ones. Like Horizon would have probably won Game of the Year if Breath of the Wild hadn't come out.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Nier Automata is probably my favourite game out of all those.
Yeah.
I fucking loved that game. Because it did things differently. Like, it had great gameplay and it fused like hack and slash stuff with bullet hell and weird shooting elements and all that. But what I really liked about it is how it told its story, and it made a lot of people probably wouldn't like it, but it made you play it three times to get the full end of it. Because you play it once as one character, then you play it again as the other character, and everything's very similar but sort of different. And that leans into the plot, which I won't spoil, but you're not just playing it again for no reason.
Yeah.
And then you have to play it a third time and it's completely different. And then at the very end, it has one of the best end credit sequences ever, because you're shooting the credits as they come up as like a hacking something, it's about robots. And then you have the only way to succeed is to allow other people to come in and help. And it's not live people, but it's people who have offered up their save file, and then there's this you're a little spaceship type thing, and then other spaceships come and join you, and you fuck everything up. And then once you finally finish that, you then have the option to erase your save file to then help out someone else, and that's what you're supposed to do. And I did, because I'm a good person, and I was like, I'm not fucking playing this game a fourth time. I will eventually, but not right now. I just thought it was really cool. I really like Nier Automata.
A nice like a different take on things. It's good.
And like
being a bit of an
creative storytelling and doing it. No like film or book could tell that story in that way, because it used the game to do it.
Well done to Nier Automata for that. And my answer this year was 2002 for me, turning 22. So the games released that didn't win were Splinter Cell, GTA Vice City, but the winner this year was Medal of Honor Allied Assault, the most influential first-person shooter of all time, if you ask me. Outside of a GoldenEye, which I chose the other week too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the modern trend in like first-person shooters, it kind of happened. It began back on Medal of Honor Allied Assault. That's still like the forefather of the
war shooters.
Yeah, of all these shooters that we're playing these days, because Call of Duty spawned from Medal of Honor series, and then the early iterations started coming, and then it turned out into what it is today. And then I don't know, I think Medal of Honor Allied Assault did something really special, which was that Omaha beach sliding, which was amazing. It really was amazing to play that. It's that Saving Private Ryan scene, isn't it?
Isn't there a Medal of Honor VR title coming back?
There is, and it's being made by
the Respawn.
By Respawn.
Who I think were some of the old boys, I can't remember. But I think what would be great, and I've talked about this before, is if someone comes in to do the World War II, or even just war, like video game genre, first-person shooter genre, but with a proper Saving Private Ryan style story. And I'd love it if Medal of Honor was that.
Yeah.
Not these like multiplayer fests with a tacked on story just because 11 people actually play it, but like give it the attention it needs, and I'd love it to come back.
I mean, Call of Duty did it a couple of years ago. Call of Duty World War II, right?
Yeah.
And that was a 6-hour campaign, and there's some interesting missions.
Just give me a full scale, with all these RPG mechanics.
It was all right. I mean, I picked it up pretty cheap, and I played through the campaign. I didn't touch the multiplayer, but for what it was, for the £5 or whatever I picked it up for, it was all right. It was all right. It was, but then again, we are missing that that traditional, like a long campaign for a single player war game like this. So there you go. And so that is Rob Lowe's question answered. Thank you very much, sir. Next up, Tyler Durden asks the following question: if you could fight anyone from a video game, who would you fight? And this was so easy for me. I would.
Seeing your answer is a completely different interpretation to the way I took this question.
Well, my first answer was like Mario, because if I get in a fight, I want to know that I'm going to win, and his only attack is a jump, and I could beat the fuck out of Mario, right?
Yeah.
And I'm guaranteed to win. However, I thought, well, if there's one character I want to beat the shit out of because he is the essence of why this gaming franchise was destroyed and epitomizes everything that was wrong with the game, it is Preston Garvey. Preston Garvey, Fallout 4. Yeah. Oh my God. Does he need a smack in the face?
Yeah. I took this question completely differently. I thought, like, what's going to be a good fight to like witness and watch? And I'm like, because I started running through, who are the video game characters I could beat in a fight? Oh, well, then I was like, well, most video game characters you'd think of are the protagonists, and they're video game characters. They're superpowered. So there's not going to be that many that realistically you could beat. Although Mario's a really good answer. Then I was like, well, what if I abandoned the winning thing and just think of like how would it be as a good fight? And the first one that came into my head, and it would be fucking brutal, would be fighting Joel from The Last of Us.
Oh, I thought of Joel, but I thought I'm going to get my ass kicked.
That's what I mean. But like, imagine like a cage match. This is how I interpreted this question.
You get your ass kicked, man.
Because I don't want to fight him, but as a pay-per-view event,
I'll make most money from it.
I take it.
Yeah,
like
that's
that scene
true.
where he interrogates the guy and he stabs him in the knee. Fuck it, let it happen. I don't care.
I mean, I'd have a mud wrestling fight with.
Where's this going?
With like Tomb Raider woman,
Lara Croft. Not the one you're looking for.
I mean, any sexy video game female video game character. If it's a mud wrestle, I'll take it.
That's true.
That'd be a good one. We're already didn't win size. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, anyway. That's true. That's fucking true.
Okay, next question.
Our next question is
the very last question, and it's just for you, right?
And unfortunately, my Google Doc is not loading any pictures, but thankfully I've seen them already. Tons2112. A small question mostly for Henry, because he's the nerd that likes superhero stuff. What do you think of Pattinson's Batsuit and his Batmobile?
Pattinson.
The Robert Pattinson Batmobile, or the Pattinson Batmobile, or the Robert Batmobile, was revealed yesterday, I think. So
was it really?
The 4th of whatever we're in, March. I think it's rad as fuck. I think it's really cool. It's just a car. It's a car, like an old school American muscle car that's been decked out to fuck and has a giant booster engine thing jammed in the back. I think it looks really cool.
Does look cool.
It's very like homemade.
Less is more, right?
Totally. It's not like this huge tank that, you know, can bulldoze through shit. I mean, the Tumbler was cool in The Dark Knight and it worked for that universe, but that's not a Batmobile to me.
Yeah.
I did actually really like the Batman vs Superman Batmobile, despite that movie being absolute trash, because it kind of looked like a bat and had these jagged edges. But I really like the Pattinson mobile because it is just a car. It looks good. School. It
looks good to me.
I like
it's
most
more
of
genuine, right?
Yeah.
In a universe or a world or a series of films that generally, you know, you've got to use your imagination a little bit. That is more grounded, it's more real, it's more, you can imagine that.
Yeah. I really like his suit as well, because I think that's part of the question. I don't really like his cowl, and this is when you get into really fucking panicky. Oh, well, that's not really right, is it?
Is that your inner monologue?
Yeah. Well, I like the suit because it's, again, just like the car, it works together. It's like it's cobbled together of different parts. But I think his cowl looks weird. He's got weird ears and his nose isn't pointy, but like I don't give a shit. I want to see the movie. I like new interpretations of stuff, and I'm all for it. So yeah, I think it looks dope.
Thanks very much, everybody who asked questions this week. We really appreciate it, as well as your support on the Patreon. We're going to move on next to our favourite segment of this week. It's the Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week.
Okay, so this one is from me, and it's more than just a comment. This is going to be a whole moment.
It's going to be a whole moment,
in
a huge
life.
segment.
And it comes from my video from Wednesday, which was about Bloodstained having changed its Kickstarter thing. A few people got upset thinking I was having a go at them. I don't think I did that at all, but you be the judge. So this guy, who I believe I've seen commenting around, but he's not very happy. And frankly, I don't really care. From John90, unsubbed, I've given up on you. It's this channel that is toxic to gamers. Oh, forgive me. For context, I brought up a few comments on the Kickstarter page which were particularly unpleasant. A lot of people were on board with it. One guy in particular really, really, really wasn't, and I'll read out his comment in it. So that's your context. Is this channel that is toxic to gamers? What happened to No BS? You are picking on Craig, that's the guy who commented, to show you are morally superior. You used him to change the story from gamers are not happy to gamers are toxic, right? So the context is this guy called Craig said in one of his many comments, Koji Igarashi is a liar and a con artist. Koji Igarashi is the lead developer and creator of the game. He repeated that comment 177 times. 177 times on the Kickstarter page, right? Let me just that's
thinking. He did that manually 177 times.
And I called this guy childish and toxic for behaving like that.
Yeah.
John Knighty seems to disagree. I think that's a totally fucking fair assessment because that's what children do. When children are unhappy, they slam their hands on the table and they scream and say the same thing over and over again. That's what children do. Adults don't express their displeasure like that. For all we know, this guy could actually be a child. He could actually be a child. In which case, it would be fine to behave
Sounds like it looking at this next comment.
Yeah, hold on for that. There's more. You're picking on Craig to show that you are morally superior. I'm picking on Craig because he's being toxic. But you know what? If he's behaving childish and screaming at developers like this and some more comments which I'm about to read out to you, I am fucking morally superior, thank you very much. That's a fact, all right? Yeah. I'm not behaving like this. And then you used him to change the story from gamers are not happy about to gamers are toxic, right? That's not what I fucking said. You're putting your little quotes there. You are literally putting words in my mouth. Didn't say a fucking thing like that. And I hate you. This is the thing which triggered the triggered fanboy thingy was last week. Is again people mischaracterizing me and saying I'm saying things. Which
I think
I'm
you
not.
actually said in the video that it's people like this that give gamers a bad name. And if you've got a legitimate concern or a legitimate problem with a developer, it's these type of people that allow developers or whoever you're criticizing to just cast us all in the same box, to paint us all with the same brush. It's like gamers are toxic. Oh, it doesn't matter what legitimate things you got to say because some of the shit you say is awful, and it's that generalizing and putting us all in the same box is what gives the community a bad name. Don't be a dick and be reasonable with your concerns and put it in a way that people cannot just back down because you're being toxic. Otherwise, you are being just completely, you're hampering the whole kind of argument, essentially.
If you want me to read out exactly what I said, I've got it in front of me now. Just to be clear, you have every right to be angry at this situation, but what this guy is doing is exactly the sort of childish behavior that gives gamers a bad name and completely invalidates any good points you may have. That's what I said, and then later on I brought it up again. Just bear with me to find the line. This was about the Bira Moretti virus being tackled by a video game. After seeing those toxic comments from Craig in the first story, it's nice to see gamers and games doing something good or something. So that's all I said about that. That's all I have to say about that. But now, just to continue, something I deliberately chose not to do in the original video because I didn't want to platform it because it is really unpleasant. But to further illustrate my point to this fool who was once sub, so he did like us at one point, but has given up on us, to use his own, to paraphrase his own words. This is what else this guy said. So let you be the judge if this is childish or
it's productive,
toxic.
yeah,
right. So does this get what you want, expressing your dissatisfaction about missing a mode that was promised? I hope you catch the fucking Foster's virus, IGA, you fucking lying piece of shit.
All caps.
Yeah, all caps, and that was a reply to someone else. And then there's this one, which was repeated 47 times, not quite 177. This one's just 47 times.
Only 47.
Hello, you fucking con artists. Just wanted to stop by to tell you what a bunch of incompetent fucking hacks you are. Hacks is in caps. This is just one more to add to the list of ways you fucked up this fucking game you promised us. That we gave you millions of dollars and over 4 fucking years to make. That's all in caps. Fuck you, IGA, and fuck everyone who worked on this game. Now let me ask you again. How is that not toxic and childish? How is this person
how is it productive?
Generating anything good? And how is me commenting on this guy being a prick and in fact using a Team America reference to call him an asshole, how is that painting all gamers with the same brush, saying they're all toxic? It's not what I fucking said. You're full of shit. That's it.
That is it, Henry.
And some idiots fucking sided with this prick, not this commenter.
They're going to be idiots.
It's twats.
They're going to be idiots. They're going to misrepresent us.
Idiot's going to idiot.
And the thing is, right, we trust that the majority or the people who watch us have a certain amount of intelligence to be able to discern the difference between someone who is just being a toxic prick for the sake of it, because he can't control his own emotions, just because, you know, daddy beat him when he was a little boy or something, because he's got like some pent-up frustration because he can't get a girlfriend, or whatever the fuck it is in your life that's causing all this pent-up anxiety. And you're taking out on other people online, people who aren't even directly responsible for your problem. My God, just grow the fuck up and stop treating people like shit. You can have a concern, you can have, and this is like a strange moment of realization for a lot of people, is that you can have a legitimate grievance with something and not get angry and shout people down about it. You can detail your grievances in a rational and a reasonable way and present that so that they have to also approach the situation in a rational and reasonable way, and then either defend themselves, or, you know, and you might get some sort of outcome from it. You might get some sort of coming together of ideas. You might get some sort of positive response from it. The only thing that you're getting by shouting and screaming this way is getting outed as being a complete prick. That's it. That's the only thing you're achieving, is that people you're allowing people to realize what you actually are here, which is just a complete idiot, essentially. And it's not productive in any way. There's so many better things to do.
And the way I think about every newsy video that we do, that this, like, generally my thought process about all of it is that it's a starting point. Like, if you watch the video and you think, oh, that's an interesting story, there's every single time there is sources in the description. So if you click on, and I put loads in there, if I reference any article, if there's a screenshot of an article, I'll throw it in the sources. So you can follow it up. To look it up yourself. If that's all you have to do, if you clicked any one of those links to the Kickstarter page, you'd see this bullshit for yourself from this particular person. A lot of other people are perfectly rational, but this guy is a cancerous piece of shit, and if you disagree, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you.
It's just our opinion at the end of the day. I mean, what it is, throw it in the sources, mate. You've never been so confident in your whole life. Throw it in the sources. If I got anything, mate, I'll throw it in the sources.
Someone accused me of having a silver spoon in my mouth in one of the fucking things. I can't find. I'm like,
oh, did they?
You sure about that, honey? Like, what's up?
He's fucking throwing it in the sources, mate.
Oh dear.
Anyway, let's move on to other YouTube comments from this week that weren't quite as controversial. But that was a big one. That was a big triggered fanboy.
I told you it was an event. It was a monument. Hopefully next week I won't have some person trying to misrepresent me and put words in my mouth. But you know, this is the internet after all.
There you go. I don't have many comments this week, and we are kind of running late anyway, so I only got a couple. The first one from the Final Fantasy Remake video, which we made earlier in the week. Cogs Skillet says, Gath sounds a bit monotone in this one. I assume you mean Gareth, which is my actual name, rather than Gath. Maybe it was an oversight on your part. Maybe you actually think I'm called Gath. Either way, I'm all right with it. Is everything all right? Question is like
there was another one similar to that, actually.
Not only does...
Oh, we go. From Mickey Can. Gareth doesn't sound very enthusiastic.
If that's the case, then I accept that I might not sound enthusiastic in that video.
It was the second video of the day, and it's difficult talking about a game like during live gameplay. It's hard.
It's hard, mate. It's fucking hard.
There you go.
I can't explain that. I don't know. Maybe I didn't put my ranty voice on enough for you. I might have done it today. So maybe I may. The fact that people assume that something's not wrong if I'm not ranting, maybe that's troubling. Yeah, that's troubling.
Your happy voice is just sort of monotone.
Yeah.
Thing is, my voice is really monotone at the best of times. So I'm surprised I didn't get any heat for it. But anyway, I've got a comment here which isn't really criticism or anything or critique, but I think it needs to be fact checked because I've seen this number floating around and it's misrepresenting facts. And it's from a video about Dead or Alive introducing the horrendous hair color microtransaction, which you don't actually buy the hair color, you temporarily, but you rent it. You're renting a hair color. It's outstanding.
That's the worst.
And collectively, the amount of microtransactions in Dead or Alive is ridiculously high. However, people have been misinterpreting some of those numbers, and I want to fact check that real quick. So Old Man commented saying, remember when people said it was just cosmetics and wouldn't hurt the game? Total cost of Dead or Alive and DLC/microtransactions on Steam is $1,967.93. Okay. Great point about it was just cosmetics. It's just cosmetics. This is taking just cosmetics to the next fucking level. Absolutely right there. However, saying the total cost of microtransactions and DLC on Steam is almost $2,000. That's correct because when you go on Steam and you look at the additional content thing, the total is that. Wow. However, all of that includes season passes and individual skins and individual characters, both of which are contained within the season pass.
All right,
so that number isn't actually representative of everything you can buy. I mean, technically, you can spend that much money on it. But if you buy the season... I'm not trying to justify this, I'm just trying to make it clear. If you buy the season passes, you get most of those single...
individual things.
Individual purchases of like $1.50 or something. They're all just buying shit which is already in the season pass. So you're kind of doubling up your numbers there. I'm not having to go at you, old man. You're an old man. You've already got enough problems. You're an old man. But I've seen a few people throwing around the $2,000 number, and it's misrepresentative of the actual story. And I just want to make
in a
that
way,
clear.
but still, people might still be spending two grand.
Certainly, it's certainly possible.
If they don't understand that it doubled over. I mean,
people could buy the season pass and be like, oh, look at all these skins, buy. But they've actually technically already accessed them through the season pass. But, there's more to it than saying there's $2,000.
There you go. Next comment was on the Monday News Roundup video, which we discussed. We just discussed like the 10 top stories over the weekend that caught our eye. Now, Rick Bear Cat comments, you missed the update to RimWorld. The whole game was updated to 1.1 and new content was added. The royalty DLC expansion, which cost $20. We did miss that one out. Just for the sheer fact that we can't fit. The video was just under 20 minutes. We tried to get it like 15 minutes. We always run over. But 10 news stories is enough. It is more than enough. The fact that we missed out this one. There was another guy as well who said something else. A game that leaks for... What was that game that was leaks for? I can't even fucking remember the game. Valorant or something. Valorant.
No idea.
We missed that one out. Yeah, we did miss a couple out because we just have to pick and choose what are the most... I actually downloaded the update and tried it, but didn't really... play it enough to be able to connect with it. But RimWorld, it's an awesome game. But yeah, I didn't include that one. I apologise. We can't do everything.
On a similar note of not being able to do everything, not having enough time, on one of the videos this week, I haven't got the comment in front of me, but some guy commented, why haven't you guys spoken about Half-Life Alyx? It's like the biggest game of the month or something. And I started typing a reply to it with a legitimate reason, being a bit sarcastic as well. But then I was like, I can't be bothered to do this because it's going to... If I'm replying once, I need to be willing to reply again, and I'm not willing to reply again.
I'm not that committed.
Yeah. And my comment was going to be something like, actually, we hadn't spoken about it when it was first announced, but all of the new information on it came out today at the time of that video being published. I was like, well, we've done a video already. I can't just abandon it and do the new breaking stuff because otherwise I'm wasting all this work.
Yeah.
And then I was going to be sarcastic about, there's this little small... indie game that you may or may not have heard of called Doom Eternal, and this small artsy small scale project called Animal Crossing. Both of those are undeniably bigger than Half-Life Alyx in my opinion in terms of how much they're going to get in sales and popularity and stuff. Half-Life Alyx might be a better game. It's probably going to be really good, and it's almost certainly going to be the next big thing in VR. But saying that it's the biggest game of the month, I think, is a little bit naive.
Well, I don't know. It's horses for courses, and I think that some people genuinely think that Half-Life, in their estimation, because Half-Life is such a beloved franchise.
But that's exactly what I mean. In his opinion, it's that.
It's not. I wouldn't call him naive. I would call it a miscalculation. I would say that for him it's the biggest game. So
it's naive to consider to believe that that's the same for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. Half-Life Alyx might smash Doom Eternal.
It totally could.
But,
if Doom Eternal launches and it's completely broken and Half-Life comes out and like fucking...
But yeah, I think Animal Crossing itself has got a huge appeal outside of what we would normally... Because, I mean, it's not a game that would appeal to us, but, it has its following and it has it.
And there's not really anything quite like Animal Crossing. There's other VR games, and a lot of people... I'm not saying Half-Life Alyx is going to be like that, but to a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, it's just a VR game, and hand wave it away.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 more comments. One is perfect transition to the next segment, but just before that, I've got one which fits perfectly into this conversation we've been having, and it's from last week's podcast, and it's from Scott Ford. Great work as usual, guys. I don't understand why people get so triggered online. And, me neither, buddy, but it's going to keep happening. We're going to keep... including it as a great segment.
There you go.
Have you got any more? If not, I am ready
I do not have any more, and
transition.
that means it is time.
Not yet. There's one more comment which will transition into that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologise. Hold your horses, people. Everyone's getting excited then.
Because it's from a guy called White Wolf on last week's video, which was like the weekend roundup thing.
White Wolf, he comments quite a lot.
Yeah, he's good. Hey guys, I've got a dad joke I'd like to submit. What's a policeman's favourite console? Wii U, Wii U, Wii U, Wii U.
Right.
So now it's time for the official
bad dad joke of the week. All right, Henry, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What do you get if you cross a cow, a sheep, and a baby goat?
I don't know. What do you get if you cross a cow, a sheep, and a baby goat?
The Milky Bar Kid.
That's actually quite good.
That is an actual good one.
That's quite good. I
mean, it was worth sitting through the last 6 weeks just to find that one. Right?
It's a hidden tip. Well, because all the shit ones only make the good ones shine even brighter.
Yeah. There you go. And that is it for our podcast this week. Thank you very much to everybody for listening through this long. I wouldn't sit and listen to my voice for this long. I only listen to it because I have to, because my voice is here and my ears are there. That's the only reason why I listen to my own voice. But thanks for sticking with us. And thanks for the support, the likes, the comments, everything that you do for us, especially the Patreon guys, because they are invaluable to the success of this and the continuation of this channel. So that is it from us for this week. I was going to say something else, but my brain's gone funny. Until next week, bye for now. My brain has gone funny. Lol. Was that joke? It was.